Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of EFT Untapped with the National EFT Training Institute. I'm Nancy Forster, Executive Director of NeftTI, and I'm here with Sue Simmons. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Nancy.
And Sue is the founder of Equinox Family Consulting, and she is on a mission to give moms who have children on the autism spectrum back their power. And you know, Sue, I am such a huge fan of your work, and thank you so much for doing this interview with us. So,
my pleasure.
Tell us a little bit, if you would, about your unique perspective that you bring to the table dealing with moms.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. So currently the way we're treating autism is through, generally speaking, through behavior therapy. My work is very, very different. I look at ASD from a developmental perspective, and this is something that very few moms and parents are told, is that autism is a neurodevelopmental challenge. So what this means is that the wiring in the child's brain is atypical. And so when we talk about behavior, everyone thinks that behavior is related to the autism. While it is,
yes,
the reason that happens is because of the atypical wiring, the child's development does not occur typically.
Right.
And because of this, there are a host of processing challenges for all autistic children, which means that the world is a very frustrating, loud, noisy place. And
so their behaviors would be their best response,
yes,
to their experience of the world.
Exactly. Behavior is communication.
Yeah.
And so rather than just trying to, stop behavior, my approach is very different in trying to, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I know. That's the downside of being so passionate. And
oh
so
my goodness, you can do that again. Yeah.
There's so much to say. Yeah. Well, let me ask you then, from your experience, and I know you bring your personal experience as well as your professional experience to this, is how would you talk about the impact that having a child on the spectrum has on a family, and maybe on moms in particular, because I know that's where your skill set is so unique, that you deal with moms in particular.
Thank you. Well, yes, I do have a son who was diagnosed at 5 and is now 22, thankfully doing very well. It is a tragic experience for parents. They so want to connect with their child. However, children with ASD, when they're very young, they don't have the same growth-seeking mindset that typically developing kids do. So these poor parents are trying, to become more and more directive with their child, trying, every way they know to interact. Meanwhile, the child is pulling further and further back because the child is feeling so overwhelmed and really seeks stability. So the child is gravitating to things that are, repetitive, or, watching something kind of stimming almost. And so the parents are devastated and really not knowing why.
So what I hear you saying is that the child is naturally and adaptively moving to behaviors that bring him or her a sense of safety, emotional, psychological safety.
Yeah.
But the ways that they're doing that actually are dysregulating for mom, who is so well-intentioned, coming from a loving place, but is then having such challenges to her own biological regulation.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well said. I remember myself when my son was younger, as a mom, it took 2 years before we got a diagnosis, and the whole episode was just devastating. Then when the diagnosis came, it it was helpful in that I knew what was happening, but yet there were no solutions for me at that time. And I can say for myself that I felt so incompetent. I harbored such shame, guilt, you know, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And, you know, the awful thing really is that we can't parent a child with autism the way we parent our typically developing kids.
Yes.
But
And
see, no one,
who's saying that, who's telling us that. And
yeah,
so right, we fall back on what we know, which is the typically developing child. And
right.
so you're talking about just an emotional rainbow, right? I can imagine that as a mom, you would be experiencing every emotion going, the shame, the guilt, the hopelessness, the despair.
Yeah.
Knowing and not having practical strategies.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, as a parent, you know, short of losing a child, I really can't think of anything more devastating than having this little person that you waited so long for. And, you know, as your child grows, you still, you know, the problems just get bigger.
Right. Right.
And it's, you know, and because I've been through it, I have such compassion for moms that struggle this way.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I know I've had the pleasure of training and certifying and mentoring you in your EFT journey. So and I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled that EFT is such a big part of the programs that you bring to moms to help them cope and get their power back. What is it that how does EFT help you do that?
Whoa, that is such a big question.
Okay, we have about 3 minutes. Go for it.
Well, you know, you talk about emotional freedom. Oh. And EFT is the only tool I have discovered in my far too many years of, I'd like to admit to being around, that can truly help a mom find peace. And, you know, it's like peeling back the onion, right? There are layers and layers, but it's the only tool. You know, I've had sessions with moms who have said to me, Sue, I've been in therapy for, you know, years. And after 1 or 2 sessions, you've done more for me than all of that therapy did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reality around the nervous system in the body is that it has to be addressed first.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You know, one of the things that really stuck with me when I did my training with you was everything is energy.
Yes.
You know, and that has stayed with me, and I swear I think about it every day. And so the energy that these moms have stored up and all of that, you know, those layers of guilt and shame, it is possible to get through that, but to honor how they are showing up and exactly what they are feeling in the process. And that's what's so beautiful about it.
Absolutely, because there is this almost a cultural belief that we ought not to be feeling these things around our mothering.
For sure, you know, and this is it's such a what's the word I'm looking for? It's something that nobody wants to talk about, right?
And the shame is
yeah,
so thick.
Yeah, it is, and you know, of course, they should not feel shame, but it's a natural response to what's happening in their lives with their children.
Right. Well, in the same way as we're talking about their children have these adaptive behaviors to attempt to find their psychological safety, right? It's biological. It's in the body. It's not bad intention or not wanting to upset other people. It's a biological imperative. And moms are human beings too. So their biology is also adapting in the best way that they can. And so I love how you bring this place of non-judgment just
Oh,
acceptance, right? It is what it is.
yeah, yeah.
And let's let the body talk. Let's listen to that voice that's coming directly from the body before we start trying to find the practical strategies.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the beautiful things about EFT is how gentle it is and how it, you know, through learning through you and the many different techniques that I can bring to the table, depending on how a mom is showing up in the moment.
Yeah.
I can make it gentle no matter what.
Well, that's the thing that we've
Yeah.
learned is that just because people can share their stories really quickly, it doesn't mean that it's actually safe for them to share their stories really quickly, and
Yeah.
to help them, you know,
Yeah.
what I call titrate the story, to slow it down in small enough pieces that we can stay in a body being present in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, through the program, like, for example, I'll just give you one quick example. At the very start of my Better Behavior Bootcamp, I take about 10-12 minutes and I do sort of a tapping welcome and talking, tapping and talking on behavior. And is this, you know, is this going to help me? What am I doing here? Am I safe? Do I belong here? And by the time I'm finished, the moms are all just like, you know, what just happened? It's so, I just love that. It's one of my favorite things, just for them all to, at the same time, experience this beautiful, just
exactly,
really,
letting go of that, almost that armor that they need.
exactly, because they're feeling so vulnerable already, but at the first week of a program like this, where they're thinking, you know, should I be doing this? What's, you know, is this the right thing? What's
Beautiful. And just, you know, that human need that we all have to be seen, to be accepted.
Yes. Yeah.
And yet we're so afraid to be seen in case we're not accepted. And so I love how you're addressing that right at the beginning of the interaction.
Well, I think it's very important because I know how they feel, right?
Yeah.
I do. Only this wasn't available for me, but at least I can provide this for these women who are in such, you know, great need.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I totally relate to what you're saying, because the, you know, programming at the National EFT Training Institute really is the program that I wish I'd had 20 years ago. You know,
I know, right?
back when EFT was this wacko weirdo thing, right? We didn't have the research, we didn't have the practitioners.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, it's just, you know, having EFT, you know, being a certified practitioner, an emotional success coach, you know, having worked with moms on the spectrum for, you know, for 15 years now, EFT is the creme de la creme of beautiful, a beautiful way to support these moms. And it's just such a gorgeous compliment to the work that I was doing prior to finding you.
Yeah. Well, I just am so excited that you exist.
I'm kind of happy about that too.
I'm sure there's many people
Most days.
but that you're doing the work that you're doing, because you bring a mindset which is so unique, and then together with your skill set, your actual experience in this area, and then how you are uniquely bringing EFT into the process. I'm just so grateful that you're doing the work. So would you just take a little bit of time and tell people how can they connect with you, and what is your program about?
Great. So thank you. So I have, as of January, started running an 8-week program for moms of ASD children called the Better Behavior Bootcamp. It's based on a developmental view of autism. So the goal is, over the 8 weeks, to help them work on self-care, to understand behavior from a developmental perspective, to learn the skills to get underneath the behavior and help to give them the skills to manage the difficult behavior, but in a very roundabout way.
Nice.
Yeah. And I am teaching moms how to use EFT, just global tapping, with their children. So the goals of the program are to help them feel competent, more successful as parents, and to build a more positive and loving connection with their child. And it's so doable.
Oh, totally. And to be doing this in a group, in a community, you know, now we've got the science behind this about why it's so important to be in a group of people, and how the effectiveness, not just of EFT, but of being a human being, is so much more powerful in a group.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
So you run this program every so often during the year? I know you've got one coming up soon.
Yes. I have two planned starting this month. On September 19th, we have a daytime program, and on the 20th, we have an evening program.
Nice.
And so it's 8 weeks. It's online, so the moms using this Zoom video conferencing platforms, so they can participate from wherever they are, from the comfort of their own home.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. And if people happen to be listening to this after September, your programs roll forward.
They will be ongoing. Yes, we will be. The plan is to run 1 or 2 each month, except for, you know, over Christmas and in the summer.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested, then I would suggest that they message me through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can go to www.lemons2lemonade.mom/BBB.
BBB. So that's lemons2lemonade/mom.
lemons2lemonade.mom/BBB.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Sue. Again, I'm just so excited and thrilled with the work that you're doing, and seeing you just light up as you talk about it. Well, warms my heart.
Thank you, Nancy. And I wouldn't be doing this kind of work without you, and the training that I received through you. I love every moment of it, and it has changed the way I show up in the world and the way I work with people in the world. So,
oh my gosh, thank you so much. That means so much to me. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Sure. Bye-bye.